of Mark 15. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5.
Hey, good Saturday morning to you. I'm Rita Frazier.
I'm DeLoss Yankee. Hello there.
Hello. You know, we were talking about the rivers running, et cetera, et cetera. So one of the things I thought about coming to work, after one of those big rains and watching the creeks run is that's one thing that my dad used to do. You know, back home in Otterville, Jersey County, when there would be a huge storm and after it would pass, we'd get in the pickup and go and watch the creeks run.
Really?
Yeah.
I used to be fascinated just watching creeks run.
It's fascinating.
I would literally spend significant amount of time just watching the water go. Mm-hmm. I guess it's similar to it's different than being on a beach. But when you're in Illinois, you know, you're in the heartland, you don't get to go to the beach. But I could just, and it's not changing too much, but there's water flowing, and I could watch it. So I'm glad I'm not the only one, I guess.
No, my dad was all about that. So, yeah, good times.
It does bring up the, now, did your dad ever say, Lord willing, and the creek don't rise?
No, but Ted Lay used to on WSMI years ago. He was the early morning radio guy, and that's what he would end his show with.
Really?
So you end your show with...
Watch your ends. I say watch your ends. Yeah.
Watch your ends. He used to say...
That's what my dad always used to say to me. Watch your ends. Yeah.
He did?
Yeah.
Oh, John. John Yankee is your dad's name.
All right.
Saturday stuff. Lots of conversation with Matt Kay, busy guy. We'll have some weather talk, and let's talk horses, all coming your way on this edition of RFD Illinois. Stay with us.
Are you preparing for planting season? We don't mean to be a pest, but here's a few things you need to know before you grow. The Illinois Department of Agriculture now requires special local needs labels, including new restrictions for the use of herbicide dicamba on top of soybeans in Illinois for the 2019 growing season. Did you know these additional restrictions go beyond federally approved labels? Remember, the label is the law. To find out more about these Illinois-specific labels, visit ilfb.org/label-aware.
Spring is here and things are buzzing. Farmers and pollinators are working together to help feed us. In fact, 1 out of every 3 bites of food we eat exists because of bees, butterflies, birds, bats, and other insects. Pollinators are important to our food system and the ecosystem overall. That's why farmers and those in the agricultural industry are working together to protect pollinators through education, research, and conservation efforts. Visit ilagformonarchs.org to join the buzz. That's ilagformonarchs.org.
Welcome back to RFD Illinois on a Saturday. I'm DeLoss Yankee with our Washington correspondent Matt Kay as we all look at each other with shrugged shoulders about this China deal and is it happening, is it not happening, when will it happen, all those things.
Yeah, well, this is one of those situations where we're riding by the seat of our pants, and obviously folks are concerned from Wall Street to the Midwest Heartland. They don't want to see tariffs go higher. At 12:01 a.m. On Friday, the president's order raising tariffs was triggered because there was no deal. But that could still change if there is a last-minute deal. It also will depend on how fast exports move, because those exports by ship are not hit with tariffs until they arrive at their destination. So there may still be time to backtrack. But at this point, we do have higher tariffs, DeLoss, going from 10% to 25% on a $200 billion sum of Chinese goods. I believe there were earlier tariffs on 50 billion of 25%, so that brings it to 250 billion worth of goods that are now being hit by 25% tariffs. And of course, the president has threatened to hit all of the rest of China's exports to the U.S. with 25% tariffs. That would bring the total to $540 billion worth of exports, trying obviously to exert maximum leverage on the Chinese to make a deal. He was upset last week that the Chinese had allegedly backtracked on their commitments through months of negotiations, and if you don't get a deal that has teeth in it where you can enforce things like the theft of trade secrets and forcing of U.S. companies to turn over their technology, then you don't have a deal. So here we are waiting to see how this all shakes out. Negotiations were continuing at the end of the week. But again, this is a situation where folks are literally holding their breath to see what happens in this make-it-or-break-it moment for these long-running negotiations.
Well, it's led to long-running string of low prices here over the past year. Has been awfully difficult and certainly continuing to take its toll.
Absolutely. Several farmers testified before the House Ag General Farm Commodities Subcommittee this week. Basically, their message was the farm economy is lousy, and Congress and the administration are not doing enough to help. Heard from even Republicans how bad the situation. Austin Scott of Georgia lamented that while the president and vice president are saying good things about the agriculture community, their Office of Management and Budget people treating farmers and the farm family as if they were, and I hate to use this or repeat this, but Austin Scott said subsidy-sucking freeloaders. Obviously, that was a pretty strong hit, but you can tell with Republicans complaining about the administration's handling of the farm economy, things must be pretty bad on the farm for them to say that. Producers from across the country told lawmakers what is needed is more quick disaster aid, which they haven't gotten. It's been 6 months, and a bill was moving through the House on Friday. Problem still in the Senate with a political fight between Democrats and the president over Puerto Rico nutrition aid. But farmers also, in addition to disaster aid, need markets. And with this fight continuing with China, that certainly has taken a big bite out of their profit. So much so that many producers are worried they might not be able to keep the farm. Producers say that market facilitation payments have helped. Crop insurance has helped, but it's not enough. Fixes are needed. And really what they want to see at the end of the day is a restoration of normal trade and not handouts and disaster aid payments that are only temporary and fall well short of what's needed. Absolutely.
Well, we'll see what tune we're singing next week. Should be interesting.
Absolutely, and we'll be here to report on it.
All right, it's Matt Kay in D.C. on RFD, Illinois.
You're going to need me.
You're going to need us.
All of us.
You're going to need our technical skills,
our math, our engineering skills.
You're going to need our help with your water, your air, your food.
You're going to need our organizational skills, our problem-solving skills.
You're going to need our determination, our honesty, our compassion.
You're going to need the next generation of leaders to face the challenges the future will bring.
And we promise, we'll be there when you need us.
Today, 4-H is growing the next generation of leaders. Support us at 4h.org.
This is Let's Talk Horses on the RFD Radio Network. I'm Jason Vance. Joining me today is Sally Walker, the Executive Director of the Pasofino Horse Association. And Sally, the Pasofino is a breed that a lot of people probably aren't familiar with. Tell us a little bit about them.
Pasofinos are a unique breed that are intelligent, willing. They possess a natural gait from birth that is a 4-beat gait that gives it its name as the smoothest riding horse in the world.
Which they're usually a little bit smaller and very even-tempered, aren't they?
They are smaller than some of the larger breeds. They tend to run closer to about 14 hands, and that makes them really easy to get on and off if you're on the trail, which they happen to be very sure-footed trail horses because they possess this 4-beat gait that is unique. Each foot hits the ground at a different split second, and that is what gives them such sure-footedness and balance on the trail.
Which they're a very versatile horse and can do a lot of different things, right?
They can do a lot of different things. Most people have seen the high-quality show horses. That's kind of the high end of what people think of as this horse. But they do everything other horses do, other horse breeds. They can canter and lope and walk and do all those things. They do cowboy-mounted shooting, barrel racing, obstacle trail challenge. Our horses even play soccer.
Soccer?
Yes, indeed. They kick the soccer ball themselves. We have little soccer leagues. Pasafinos are excellent parade horses. You'll see them in parades from California to Massachusetts. They are carriage horses. They're great first horses for children and for youth to grow up with, and for those people who like to have a horse for the first time in perhaps middle age, because they are maybe the most versatile horse out there.
Tell us a little bit about the history of the Pasafino. Where did they come from?
Pasafinos are Spanish horses. They began their journey to the Americas more than 500 years ago. Their stallions were the remount stallions of the conquistadors, and so they have a very strong Spanish heritage. There were a lot of Pasafinos brought from Puerto Rico to the United States by U.S. servicemen in the 1940s. And the Pasafino Horse Association, with which I'm associated, only registers pure Pasafino horses. There are other offshoots. There are Peruvian Pasos and other things, but we only do the pure Pasafino breed. And we validate that with a very strong registry of 58,000 Pasafinos. We have a high integrity to make sure that this breed stays pure.
Now, speaking about the association, talk to us a little bit about some of the different projects the association is launching to try and broaden the awareness of the Pasafino breed.
We find that the best way to let people know about the Pasafino is to see it in motion or to get on it and ride it. So we have a lot of grassroots programs. Our people in our 23 regions across the United States go to a lot of large events, set up booths, and they bring Pasafino horses for people to meet and greet because they're very charming, they're very intelligent, they love people, they like to please, and once you ride one, it's really hard to go back to another horse. We have also participated in the American Horse Council's 100-Day Challenge, which was to introduce newcomers to horses in general. Our membership rallied and they held open stables, kind of like open houses, where people came and got to meet and greet Pasafinos. And I'm happy to say that the PFHA won the 4th prize nationally against all the larger breeds.
If someone is interested in getting involved with Pasafinos, what advice do you have for them?
Probably the quickest and easiest way to learn about Pasafinos is to go to our website, which is www.pfha.org. We have lots of historical information. We also have a farm directory where you can look and see if there is a farm near you. Pasafino people love to share their horses. They love to have people call and just come out with no obligation, meet and greet the horses. There is also a list of our regions on the website. You're welcome to contact any of the regional presidents if that's the closest place to you. Or you can call the association. We'd love to talk to you.
Well, Sally, thank you so much for joining us today and talking about Pasafinos.
You are welcome.
That's Sally Walker. She's the Executive Director of the Pasafino Horse Association. She's been our guest on Let's Talk Horses on the RFD Radio Network. Thank you so much for listening, and please tune in next time for another edition of Let's Talk Horses.
Hello, America, and welcome to the AgResource Livestock Market Watch. I'm Nathan Losey with AgResource Company in Chicago. AgResource offers daily market updates via email, which feature all the latest market news, along with short and long-term price forecasts. Our reports feature in-depth coverage of livestock, grain, and oilseed markets, and also comprehensive farm marketing advice, so you can spend less time worrying about the markets and more time focused on your farm or ranch. Go to agresource.com, where you can get your first month subscription for just $1. Hog futures open the week with limit losses on news that China China was backing out of trade agreements and that the U.S. would respond with additional tariffs on imported Chinese goods. Volatility remained extreme in the rest of the week, with June hogs trading nearly a $6 range on Tuesday and then holding within that range the rest of the week. The cash hog market was stable, but for now the rally appears to be over amid narrowing slaughter margins as the lean hog index has caught up with the pork cutout value. Packers have record supplies available, and so a further hog rally now needs to be led by pork product values via a strong increase in exports. Chinese pork supplies are expected to tighten later this summer, and record Chinese hog prices are expected. Whether the U.S. market benefits from reduced Chinese supply hinges on a bilateral trade agreement. The cattle trade was lower for the week, with CME futures following the rest of the ag trade lower to start the week, while attempts to rally were slowed by fund liquidation and lower cash trade. Cash markets began to trade on Tuesday, with sales in the South reported at $120 or $2 to $3 lower for the week. Last week's cattle kill was at multi-year highs, and large supply weighed on beef prices through the week. This looks to be confirming an early seasonal top in the beef market, which will keep steady pressure on the cattle trade as supplies increase. CME futures are now very oversold, with a further $8 decline priced into June and another $4 by August. The risks to the downside are diminishing, but a strong summer rally will have to be led by a major increase in beef exports. Until next time, I'm Nathan Losey, and thanks for listening this week to the Ag Resource Livestock Market Watch.
All right, this is RFD Illinois as we break down for markets and weather.
For University of Illinois Extension, I'm Todd Gleason. The weather is next.
From the State Climatologist Office for the Illinois State Water Survey at the University of Illinois Prairie Research Institute, this is Brian Kirshner. This last week, an active weather pattern brought several additional rounds of showers and storms to Illinois, along with a frontal boundary that created a noticeable contrast in statewide temperatures. Last Wednesday, highs near Chicago struggled to reach 60, while locations in central and southern Illinois warmed into the upper 70s and 80s. Excess moisture and flooding remain an issue for the state, as precipitation for regions along a broad corridor extending from near Springfield to Chicago, as well as extreme southern Illinois, have already reported 200 to 300% of month-to-date average precipitation. Flood warnings remain active along the Illinois and Mississippi rivers until further notice. On a positive note, we are expecting a relatively drier and cooler period in the short term, as the Climate Prediction Center's 6 to 10-day outlook is favoring slight probabilities of cooler than average and drier than average conditions statewide. However, several chances for lighter scattered showers and storms still exist in the coming week. In the short term, we can expect pleasant, although seasonably cool temperatures this weekend, with chances for showers arriving late Saturday into Sunday morning. Look for drier conditions to prevail for the start of the work week. Temperatures this weekend from the National Weather Service will feature highs in the upper 50s and 60s, with lows generally in the 40s and 50s. This is Brian Kirshner from the State Climatologist Office.
And I'm Todd Gleason for U of I Extension. You have a great and a very safe week.
Check the markets. Dale Urkel, senior analyst at AgriVisor. By the way, in 5 weeks' time, we've lost almost a full $1 on the soybean future prices.
Yeah, we really have. You know, this week really was the hardest week in one sense. We got hit with China news to begin with, a possible end of the trade talks coming up in here to one where they reversed course and reneged on some previous things, and then Trump threatened to put on some new tariffs, and, you know, the whole thing was just downhill from there. We had some talk as we started the week about weather going to get a little bit better starting this weekend and on into the early part of next week, and people were going, well, maybe we can catch up on planting. Now as we go home on Friday, we have to go, are we really going to catch up that well? Because we got showers going to be running around over the weekend, so we're only going to have a small window, or at least a smaller window, to get some things done. And we wrapped out the week here with the USDA reports. There was some fear of that. Apparently, in the end, not enough. We had, looking at the beans, you know, they sliced. I should say they removed, you know, 100 million out of their old crop export number on beans, and that was not expected. and pushed the carryout close to $1 billion. New crop $970 million. With corn, we were up at $2.4 billion on the carryout. But when you look at the game here today, beans ended up about 3 lower. Corn was down a penny or two. Actually really absorbed those USDA numbers really well. And maybe as we start to look forward now, people start to think, how fast is this planting going to be, and what is going to be the ultimate ramification on new crop?
Dale Dirkholz at AgriVisor.
Look up, look down, look around. Look up, look down, look around. In the trees and on the ground, 'cause the ALB must be found.
If you're hearing this, you should be concerned about the Asian longhorn beetle, an invasive species that's destroying our trees. But you can help. Look for the signs and help stop the beetle.
Look up, look down, look around. Look up, look down, look around. In the trees and on the ground, 'cause the ALB must be found.
Some signs of the ALB are dime-sized holes on tree trunks, a sawdust-like material called frass, and the beetle itself, with a long black body and white spots.
Look up, look down, look around. Look up, look down, look around. In the trees and on the ground, 'cause the ALB must be found.
Learn all the signs and how to report them at AsianLonghornedBeetle.com. That's AsianLonghornedBeetle.com.
It's a bully, but we aren't afraid of a fight. It's elusive, but our focus never fades. It's deadly, but we were born to defeat cancer. You may not have heard of us, but our work has helped millions impacted by cancer. We are the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. We are leaders in advancing breakthroughs in immunotherapy, genomics, and personalized medicine. This research saves lives. After 65 years of fighting blood cancers, we've arrived at a game-changing belief. The cures for cancer are in our blood. The drugs and treatments we've developed for blood cancers have helped people affected by many different types of cancers. We are the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. Beating cancer is in our blood. Learn more at LLS.org.
That is all the time we have for this edition of RFD Illinois. Thanks for spending some time with us today.
That's right. We salute a community.
We do.
How about Hartford in Madison County, home of the Lewis and Clark Historic Site, and their departure event this weekend.
Exciting.
Commemorating when Lewis and Clark left to go west in 1804. How about that?
Nice.
Yeah, that's this weekend.
Good one.
Good one. Sponsored by Country Financial. Your farm is your family's legacy, part of your hometown heritage. While you work sun up to sundown to get the job done, we're here protecting the things you love every step of the way. Country Financial. Learn more at countrycrop.com.
For Jim Taylor and the entire team, I'm Rita Frazier.
I'm